planes. Okay, so as per the format and as per the question bank given, you will be having the questions for the first lab internals. Okay, so prepare accordingly. I have, and some students had requested me to send the primer as your sketchbooks are there at your hostel, whatever. I have shared yesterday only in the Google Classroom. Okay, so please kindly refer. If you have any doubts, you can call at any time. Okay, so any clarification if needed, you please do it. And some students have some pending work related to the problems in solids, what you haven't submitted back in the Google Classroom for evaluation. So please turn it in at the earliest. Many have done it, only few. So see that you submit for the evaluation. Okay, if any doubts you have, you are free to speak right now. Hello. So if any doubts, kindly let me know. If you have any clarifications, I'll clarify it. Everyone, please type your name and USN number in the chat room. Okay. So don't neglect in writing your name and USN number in the chat room. The attendance counts. So after that, for today's class, we will be starting with the hexagonal prism. So in the last class, we saw how you have to solve the problems when the given hexagonal pyramid is resting on one of its edge on HP, right? So now we will focus on how to solve the problems when the given hexagonal prism is resting on one of its corner. So even in this, the concept remains the same. If the axis is inclined to VP directly, you will determine the apparent angle. If the axis is informed like appears to be inclined, then you will directly take the apparent length of the axis to the third stage and determine its top and front view. And the assumptions what we follow is again the same. In the first stage, the axis will be perpendicular. In the second stage, the axis will be inclined to HP. And in the third stage, the axis will be inclined to VP. So related to that, now I just want to move on to our problems. Okay. So I will just share my screen, just 2 seconds. Right, I hope the PPT is visible to you all. Yeah. So now you can just have a look of the problem. So what today we are dealing about. So it is on an hexagonal prism which is resting on one of its corner, right? So please go through the question. I do repeat. So it is an hexagonal prism of 25 mm side, right? So if you have a look, so this is an hexagonal prism. Now we will be studying how it looks when it is resting on one of its corners. So this is our horizontal plane, right? And this is our vertical plane. So when it is resting on one of its corner, always we keep the corner towards our right. Okay, so if this is our hexagonal prism, so you will keep the corner which is resting on HP towards our right. So in case of hexagonal prism, if you keep one of the corner resting on HP towards your right, the opposite corner will be always lying towards your left. This happens only in case of hexagonal prism. If it is resting on one of its edge, you will keep the edge towards your right, but the other opposite edge or the side will be kept towards our left. Okay, since this is a problem resting on one of its corner, you have to keep in this position such that the corner is resting on one of its side. So the corner is resting on HP, so you'll keep this corner towards your right and the opposite corner towards will be to our left. So when you view from the top, you will have the top view. So how the top view looks, it will be just as an hexagonal prism. So the top view looks in this way, so which is resting in one of its corner. So you will be having the true shape of the base which will be visible in our top view. So this will be the position. So if you turn the horizontal plane down, so you will get this true shape of the top view below XY line, so which will be our top view. So then in the same position, if you keep the given hexagonal prism resting on the corner, and if you view from the front. So you will take the projections from these two corners and also the projection from these two longer edges. So here you will be, along with that, the axis also will be visible. Okay, so you'll be having the top center and the bottom center. So you'll be having the axis line which is drawn from the top to the bottom. So we'll show the projection through these two longer edges, two corners projection, and one the axis which comes from top to that of the bottom surface. So you'll be having a rectangle in your front view with the projections from both the corners and projection from both the longer edges along with the axis. So this is how it looks, okay, when it is in the front view. So when you view from the front, you will take the projection from this end, projection from this end, projection from this longer edge, projection from this longer edge, and also the axis which is there from top to that of bottom. Along with that, you know that the naming is given as A, B, C, D, E, and F at the top surface, and A1, B1, C1, D1, E1 at the bottom surface. So when you view from the top surface will be visible. So always in the top view, we will write the parameters of the sides of the top surface outside the bracket. So when you view from the top, the bottom surface will not be visible. And the naming of the bottom surface is given as A1, B1, C1, D1, E1, and F1. Since that will be not visible, we will write that within the bracket. So this concept you should be able to identify and write the first position approximately right. If you go wrong in identifying the position in the first stage, you won't get the marks for second and third stage. So always keep in mind and read the question properly, whether the given prism or pyramid or any plane for that point of view, whether it is resting on one of its corner or one of its edge, that you have to identify properly. Okay, so with respect to the initial position, so now I will go on with the problem. So I explained how the position of the hexagonal prism looks like when it is resting on one of its corner. So as per the concept, we keep our corner towards our right. So when you have the corner towards your right, you'll be having the opposite corner which is lying towards your left. But you cannot start the hexagonal prism from the corner. So what you do is leave some space. First you draw XY line. Then you leave some space and just draw an horizontal line. Okay, because you have to have the space such that you will construct the entire hexagonal surface here. So leave some space and down you draw an horizontal line. Once you draw the horizontal line, you see what is the dimension which has been asked. It is 25 mm. So please measure 25 mm. And later you are constructing hexagonal prism. So the interior angle will be always 120 degree. If you take exterior angle for construction, it will be 60. So first you will draw horizontal line, keep the protractor over here and take 120 degree. Okay. So after taking 120 degree, again come back to this end. So from here, you again take 120 degree. Okay. So you just draw a line over here. Once you draw the lines from both the end, again you measure 25 mm, keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc. Similarly, keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc. So you got the other two edges. After you're done with this, from here again you take interior angle of 120. Here also interior angle of 120. So then you please extend the side over here and again keep one end of the compass here and just cut an arc for 25 mm. Again you keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc for 25 mm. Right? So you got all the sides. So this one you kindly join it. So once you join it, do the darkening of this line, because all the stages, the top and the front view will be visible. You will forget it later. Immediately, you kindly darken by using the thick dark pencil. So once you have darkened, what is your next step is you have to identify the center, right? So when you join the two diagonals, you can just identify the center. And you know that top surface will be having one center and the bottom surface will be having one. So this will be O and this will be O1. So when you view from the top, O will be visible and O1 will not be visible, right? So you will write O outside the bracket and O1 inside the bracket. So this is done with respect to our center of the axis. And I showed you will how the axis will also be visible. In some cases, you won't be having the axis visible. In the last problem when we studied, you can see here, this is an hexagonal prism which is resting on one of its edge. In that case, the center and one of the longer edge here will be overlapping. In that case, you cannot show here the center line, the axis line, because that will be overlapped with the longer edge. And hence we just show a continuous line. This happens only if the hexagonal prism is resting on one of its edge. But when we come for the problem resting on one of its corner, you can easily show the axis line penetrated from the center to our front view. And hence in this case, you can show the axis line along with the projections of the other longer edges. So before going to that, do the naming. I told you the top surface will be visible and the bottom will not be visible. So the top surface A, B, C, D, E and F will be visible. So first write down A, B, C, D, E and F. And now come for the bottom surface. You have A1, B1, C1, D1. E1 and F1. So this won't be visible. So all these you kindly write it in the bracket, within the bracket. So this completes the first stage of our top view. And always remember, this provides the true shape of the base of the hexagonal prism. So once this is done, please kindly go through the question again in every stage. Even though you have gone through the problem completely, before going for every stage, read the problem. So here, what is the axis length given? It is 50 mm. So first, let the projection line be very thin. Okay, don't darken it. So from the center, you just extend a line until XY line. So after that, you will take the center line pattern. Okay, don't draw a continuous line. Immediately you show the center line or the axis line. Use a scale and measure exactly 50 mm. So once this is done, and the rest part from the each corner, you will take the projection above, right? So from D of D1, you'll take the projection above, A of A1, and all the projections. Okay, so these two corners will be coming along the same line. If you have constructed properly, the two corners here will come along the same line. Okay, so here also B of B1 and F of F1 will come along the same line. So you will take the projection. So once you take the projection, you have the length of 50 mm measured already for the axis. Similarly, measure 50 mm, 50 mm, 50 mm and 50 mm and kindly join it. So this provides our front view. So please darken it immediately. No need of darkening the axis line. Okay. So the other longer edges and the complete front view, you kindly darken. Once you do the darkening, show the dimension for the axis immediately or else you will forget. Okay, so once the dimension has been given, so now it's our duty to give the naming in the front view for the bottom surface as well as the top surface. So when the observer views from here, you will be having D and D1. So D1 is of bottom surface and D is of top surface. So when the observer views here, so we are just naming the bottom surface. So this will be visible. D1 will be visible. So when you go for the front view, this becomes D1 dash. And again, the observer views from this corner. So bottom surface is having C1 and E1. C1 and E1 is along the same line. So when the observer views from here, C1 dash will be visible and E1 dash will not be visible. So you will write C1 dash outside the bracket and E1 dash within the bracket. And similarly, center. Okay, so here the center, you will write the center axis for the bottom surface as O1 dash. So when you observe a views from here, you will be having an edge or the side over here, so this will not be visible, but the projection line is clear for the axis, and hence the naming here you will write it as O1 dash within the bracket. Similarly, when the observer views from here, the top center also will not be visible, and hence you will write the top center O dash within the bracket. So then come to the next corner. Here you have B1 and F1. So this B1 and F1 will come along the same line. And hence when the observer views from here, B1 will be visible and F1 will not be visible. And hence you will write B1 dash outside the bracket and F1 dash within the bracket. And here in the corner you have last, which is A1 mentioned. So when the observer views from here, okay, A1 will be visible. When it comes to the front view, it will be A1 dash. So this is for the bottom surface. Similarly, when it is viewed for the top surface, you have to do the naming accordingly. So the top is related to D, C, B, A, F and E. So when the observer views from here the top surface, D will be visible. So when it comes to the front view, it will be D dash. And now again here you have C and E. Both are along the same line. So when the observer views from here, C will be visible and E won't be visible. So when it comes to the front view, it will be C dash and E dash. And similarly, here you have B and F. So when the observer views from here down, B will be visible and F won't be visible. So it becomes B dash and F dash. F dash is not visible, put within the bracket. And here again, when it views, right, A will be our A dash. So this completes our first stage of the hexagonal prism, in which case it is resting on one of its corner. Right, so once the first stage is done, kindly go through the question again. What is being asked? Here the axis of the prism is inclined to HP at 40 and it appears to be inclined to VP at 45. So the second stage, always we do take the axis inclination of 40 degree to HP. Inclination with HP, in this question it is told 40 degrees. So what you do is, you leave for some space here and then just don't draw a thin line as an axis line. Directly take the center line pattern and take 40 degree to HP. So once you take 40 degree to HP, so what is our next step? We have to shift the front view, which was in vertical upright position, to the inclined position of HP. So once you draw the axis, next you have to come for the first stage and identify the distance from the center to this corner. So that is from O1 dash to A1 dash. Okay, so you please keep one end of the compass at O1 dash and measure the distance until A1 dash, how much it is. So after measuring, you kindly take that measurement in the compass and just move on the axis line over here. Okay, so you just give a try until and unless this distance cut exactly on our XY line. If you fix a point down below, then that distance will come below XY line. If you fix a point little bit more on XY line, then you'll get the distance where the corner will lie above the XY line. It becomes a suspension case. It should not happen. This corner should exactly be on XY line. In that way, you move the distance on the XY line until this distance will cut on XY line. So you will get a point of reference and an arc which is being cut. So name that point immediately as O1 dash. So once that is done, you have cut an arc over here. So name that as A1 dash. So you got one side of the base edge which is shifted to the axis inclination of 40 degree. So next, the same base edge what you have constructed, just extend it above the XY line. So this entire base line should be perpendicular to the axis line. Okay, so once you extend the line, again come back over here and measure the distance from O1 dash to D1 dash, how much it is. using the compass. Okay, so then come back to the axis over here and measure the same distance on the line what you have constructed. So it will meet at some point. So you got the corner of the other end of the base as well, right? So please darken the base immediately. Once you darken the base immediately, you have the two corners identified. So one is A1 dash, name it, and the other one is D1 dash and name it, right? And the axis you have drawn and you have shown it as O1 dash. Other than that, we have two corners through which the longer edges are being projected, right? So those namings has to be done. So you please measure the distance from O1 dash to B1 dash, how much it is, using the compass. Come here and just make a reference point on the base edge what you have constructed. Similarly, you measure from O1 dash to E1 dash, what is the distance, using the compass. Okay, come back here and just make a reference point. So you got the two reference point through which you have to project the longer edges. So please give the naming to it accordingly. So one is C1 dash and E1 dash, write it exactly, which is within the bracket, retain within the bracket. Don't make a mistake while naming in the second stage. And similarly here, do write B1 dash and F1 dash. So now entire naming is been done and the base is been shifted to 40 degree to HP. And now the axis length will be the same, 50 mm. So what you do is you kindly project all the edges parallel to your axis line. So you have the axis line. Similarly, you extend the projection from each point over here. So from A1 dash, so from B1 dash, C1 dash and D1 dash. After extending the line, you measure the axis height of 50 mm. Keep the compass at each point and just cut an arc for 50 mm. Again, keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc for 50 mm. One end of the compass here, cut an arc for 50 mm. One end of the compass here, cut an arc for 50 mm. One end of the compass here and cut an arc for 50 mm. Right, so you got all the reference points where you have to join. So join all these lines immediately and darken the view at the same time. Okay, so after darkening, the namings you have already with you what you have done in the first stage. So kindly do write the naming for the base of the hexagonal prism as well as the top of the hexagonal prism. So once this is done, kindly take the projections down. So this is a projection from each point, D1 dash, C1 dash, okay, B1 dash, A1 dash, all the projections from the base surface as well as the top surface. So once you have taken the projections, what's your next step? You have to extend the projections from the top view also. So kindly take the projections from the top view. So excess line, you kindly erase it, just retain the projection line which are needed. So all the extended lines, remove it, erase it, don't retain it, okay? Give preference for cleanness, tidiness, visibility, naming and clarity. All has marks here, okay? So once that is done, what you do is, you read the locus. So here you have the locus of A. So first we are giving the name for the bottom surface. So here you have A1. So A1, the locus of A1 is coming here and A1 dash. So locus of A1 and A1 dash is meeting at this point. So this will be our A1. And then you have the locus of B1 and B1 dash meeting at this point. So this will be our B1. And the locus of C1 is meeting C1 dash at this point. So this is our C. And the locus of D1 is meeting D1 dash at this point. So this is our D1. Locus of E1 is meeting our E1 dash at this point. So this is our E1. Right? So we named the bottom surface of the hexagonal prism. Just retain as it is and come back to the naming of the top surface. So top surface, you know, you have A, B, C, D, E and F. So please start reading the locus for all these letters. So locus of A is meeting A dash at this point. So this is our point A. And locus of B is meeting B dash at this point. So this is our point B. And then locus of C is meeting C dash at this point. So this is our point C. Locus of D is meeting D dash at this point. So this is our point D. Locus of E is meeting E dash at this point. So this is our point E. locus of f and f dash is meeting at this point. So this is our point f, right? So now we got the naming both for the bottom as well as the top surface. So once you do the naming, always I have told you the first step is the outer border will be always visible. So kindly join the outer border without thinking whether it will be hidden or what else. Okay, so it will be always visible, so kindly join the outer boundary. So outer boundary you can join from b1 to c to b to a to f to e to f1, okay, f1 to e1, from e1 to d1, and from d1 to c1. So you now join the outer boundary, and then we have to think about now which are the visible line and which are the hidden line. So for that you have to see here you have the front view in which it has been inclined to particular angle. So when it has been inclined and when the observer views from here, the top surface will be visible. Suppose I'll show you the prism here, hexagonal prism. So when it is being inclined and when the observer is viewing here, the top surface will be visible, and hence we can make the top surface here as continuous and visible line. It will not be hidden in any case when you view from this end. The top surface is clear enough. So what you do is the outer boundary we have joined already. So remaining side now we have to darken it, right? So this you will darken E to D and D to C. So this we had darkened already related to the outer boundary. So this is done. After that, the second aspect is if you have any projection line coming through the top surface, through inside the top surface, then it will be hidden. If you have any lines, projection coming through the corner of the top surface, that will be continuous and visible line. So this and this is done already. So this is the only corner which is left out, which is coming through the top surface. So the projection from the corner of the top surface will be continuous and visible line. So you will join D and D1 with a continuous line. So that is done. Along with that, you have one more side which is coming, the back side. So when it has been inclined in this way, right, the top corner edge will be visible. So A to D to D1. So this was visible. Similarly, you have the opposite corner here from A to A1, which will not be visible. You can notice. So this topper one is visible. We made it continuous. And this down corner here from A to A1 is not visible. It is hidden, right? So this curve distance A to A1 will not be visible because it is coming through inside the top surface, and hence you will show this as hidden. So that is done. So the projection coming through the hidden line will be also hidden. So you have two more projections here which is coming out. So one is A1 to B1 and A1 to F1. So this is also hidden. And it also maps with the crude method. So here if you see the front view over here, you have one corner lying on XY line. So that is A1 dash. So the projection coming through that corner will be always hidden. So that also is applicable over here. So you will show the hidden line. So this is done. We haven't focused until the axis line. So where is the axis line? So you have the projection of O1 and O1 dash meeting at this point. We have named already. So this is O1, and projection of O and O dash is meeting at this point. So this is our O. So here we have the axis line. What we have to draw, suppose we have to show a center line actually from O1 to O. But that is overmapped with the longer edge here D1 to D, and hence we won't be showing here the axis line. Okay, so that is been overlapped with the projection of the longer edge. So this completes our second stage of the hexagonal prism top view when the axis is inclined to 40 degree to HP. Right, so this is how you have to construct. Okay, so when the axis is exactly perpendicular, both the top and the bottom surface will be parallel, so you cannot see two surfaces together. But when the axis is inclined to HP, then you can visualize both the top surface and partial amount of the bottom surface along with its axis. Okay, so this is done, the second stage. And then come back to the last part of the question. What is being told? First, the axis was inclined to HP at 40. This is done. And similarly, the axis appears to be inclined to VP at 45. Read the question. Some students in hurry-burry, they won't read whether it appears to be or axis inclined to VP. In that case, you will be losing the marks in the last stage. If it is told appears to be, it won't be directly inclined to VP. It just appears as though the axis is inclined to VP at 45. In that case, we should not determine the apparent angle. Okay, got the clarity? So in that, okay, so in that aspect, so what we have to do is, it is simple because you are not going to construct the beta angle in this case. So what you do is, you will take 45 degree to VP and we will directly measure the apparent length of the axis. We won't go for the true length and then the apparent length, right? So here, after taking 45 degree to VP, you kindly measure the distance from O to O1, how much it is. Okay, you can use the compass and measure the apparent length of the axis. And the apparent length of the axis always will be lesser than that of a true length for your cross-checking while construction. Okay, so once drawn 45 degree with VP, so don't identify the reference center O very near to XY plane, because you should be having space to complete. The entire top view should be inclined below XY line. It should not cross above XY line. So leave some space and then mark the reference point O. Okay, so you should select O in such a way that you should be having space to draw the other corner of the top surface of the hexagonal prism. So leave some space accordingly and fix the point O. Once you have fixed the point O, you select the apparent length what you have measured, come back to the point O what you have fixed, and just cut an arc on 45 degree line. So once this is done, okay, so you do the naming O and O1. So now the axis here, which was parallel to XY line, is now inclined to 45 degree to VP, because it appears to be inclined, not directly inclined. So once this is done, so now we have to think about constructing the entire top view from the second stage to that of the third stage. All the hidden line, the continuous line, the visibility, the naming, everything remains the same. Only thing we are tilting. Even the dimensions what you had got here should be the same. It should not be compressed or stretched. If you do like that, it will be a wrong part and you will lose marks for that. Okay, so once you have done the naming for the axis, then kindly extend the axis line, okay, after O1 and here behind O also. So you can identify the two corners here easily. So one is A and other one is D1, which is coming along the axis line, right? So you just extend the line O1 and O backside also. You just measure the distance from O to A, how much it is, and keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc. So you got the point A, name it immediately. And again from O1 to D1, you measure the distance, how much it is. Keep one end of the compass over here and just cut an arc. So this will be our point D. So these 2 points, we got it. And after that we have to get the remaining. So for that always you start from either the top or the bottom surface, and later you can project it parallelly, right? So anyhow, now we have started from the top surface of the hexagonal prism. So let us complete this. So once you have got the point A, you need to identify these two corners, F and B. For that you need this vertical line, right? And this vertical line is lying between O and A, what you have over here. So kindly refer this distance from O to this midpoint of the line, how much it is. Okay, so just make that reference point over the 45-degree line. So after that you just draw a perpendicular line. Okay, just a second. So once you name the reference, you just draw an perpendicular line like this. So after drawing the perpendicular line, what you do is you go back to the second stage, and from the midpoint you measure this distance, how much it is. Once you measure, come back over here and keep one end of the compass and cut an arc. And similarly, from the midpoint to this corner, you just measure how much it is. Keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc. So you will get the corner F and B. Okay, so name it accordingly, F and B. And similarly, so now from O to D, you have, in between O to D, you have two corners which is coming. One is E and C. For that, you should be knowing the distance from O to here, what is the value. So keep the compass, measure one end of the, keep one end of the compass over here and measure this distance. Okay, come back over here and just make a reference where it is lying. So once you make the reference, you just draw an perpendicular line through that point. Okay, like this. So once you draw the perpendicular line, come back to the second stage and measure from this midpoint to this corner what is the distance. Keep one end of the compass over here and just cut an arc. Similarly, from this midpoint to this corner, you please measure what is the distance and just cut an arc. Okay, so you got now two more corners. So name this as E and C immediately, or else you'll get confused. And the last corner deviate, so it is easier since you had all other sides. So you just measure from this midpoint to the distance D how much it is, and again keep one end of the compass here and just make a reference or an arc whichever is convenient to you. But see that all the construction line will be very thin line. Don't make it darken, don't highlight the construction and don't erase the construction. Retain the constructions, let it be very light so that it shows you that you have done the construction properly. So once it has been done, so you have named also, and I have shown you when it has been inclined, when it is viewed from this direction, the top view will be visible. So that is cleared in second stage. So here also in the third stage, please darken the top surface immediately. So this part is over. So after this, we have to construct the remaining part. So the remaining construction is easier. So what you do is, you know that EF and E1 F1 is coming along the same line. So CB and C1 B1 is coming along the same line. So you can easily extend the projection of the side of the top surface. Right. So you will take the extend the projection of the top surface down parallel to our 45-degree to VP line. So once you extend the projections, so what you do is you will measure this distance from E to E1. What is the distance using the compass? You'll keep one end of the compass here and the other end over here. The measured distance, you will come back and you will just cut an arc on this projection line what you have extended. You'll keep one end of the compass here at E and cut an arc on the extended line. So you'll get the other side of the bottom surface, E and E1. So this is done. So you have this top surface with you and you have extended this projection line, right? So on this extended projection line, you measure now the distance C to C1. What is the distance? Keeping one end of the compass at C and C1. Okay, so the measured distance, you will come back here and cut the line on the projection line what you have drawn. So you got the corner C and E. Okay, on the same line, you have the other two corners, which are F1 and B1. So you can either measure the distance from E to F1 or from E1 to F1. Okay, so similarly, you will measure the distance E to F1 or E1 to F1. Since this line is drawn already, you can keep the, if you're measuring from E to F1 using compass, keep the same distance. Keep one end of the compass at E and just make a reference point for F1. So you got F1. Please name it immediately. And similarly now you have this line already with you, the side. Okay, so here you just measure from C1 to B1 what is the distance. Keep one end of the compass here and just cut an arc. So you got the naming for the bottom surface fully, right? F1, B1, E1, C1 and D1. So this corner you have to name A1, right? So from O1 to A1, what is the distance you measure and just make a reference point on the axis line. So you got A1 also. And here these two sides are hidden. So here also make this hidden line only. And here the side A1 and A is hidden, and similarly show the hidden line over here. And remaining all the lines will be continuous and visible line. So this is done. So once this is done, so next is our last stage. Sorry, how does the front view looks like? So you please extend the projection from each corners. I'm not telling the each corner every name of the every corners. It's understood. Don't leave any of the corners, both of the bottom and the top. Kindly take the projections. Okay, after taking the projections, even take the projection from the center of the bottom as well as the center of the top surface. So once this is done, you can extend the projection from the front view also. So from each and every point in the front view of the top surface as well as the bottom surface. For your easiness, in order to reduce the complexity, what you can do is extend the front view, extend the projections of the front view line first, and then you extend the projection from the top view until which it is meeting, so that you will be not having any confusion. So first take the projections from the front view, extend it until where you need, and then come back to the top view. So now here just take the projections of the bottom surface first. So here you have A1. So you just draw a line A1 and see where the projection of A1 dash is. So you stop that projection line at that point only. So you will be having the clarity. So this A1 is meeting A1 dash over here. Just make the reference at this point itself and name it as A1 dash. And then come for B1. So B1 is here, right? And the locus of B1 dash is here. So you just extend B1 dash until only where the B1 dash is. Don't extend the line fully until above. It's not needed. So just take the projection of B1 and map with B1 dash. So name it here accordingly B1 dash. And then come back to C. So this is C1 and the projection of C1 dash is coming over here. So you take the projection of C only until where the C1 dash projection is. Don't extend C1 still above. Okay, so C1 is meeting C1 dash at this point. So name it as C1 dash. And draw the projection also only until here. And then D, take the projection of D until where D1 dash is. So D is here until D1 dash locus. Okay, so name it as D1 dash. And then you have E, the locus of E is meeting E1 dash at this point. So just draw the projection only until this point. So you got all the corners of the bottom surface. And also take the projection from the center. O1 is meeting O1 dash at this point. So show the naming O1 dash and don't extend the O1 line projection above it. So this is done. So now come back to our top surface. So here we have the projection of A and it is meeting A1, the top surface, right? The projection of A is meeting A dash at this point. So take the projection only at this point. So name it as A dash. And then the locus of B is meeting B1 dash at this point. So draw this B projection only until this point and name it as B dash. And the locus of C is meeting C dash at this point. So draw the projection only until this point and name it as C dash. And the locus of D is meeting D dash here. So take the projection until here and name it as D dash. And locus of E is meeting E dash at this point. So take the projection only at this point, not above, and name it as E dash. And locus of F is meeting F dash at this point. So name it as F dash. Along with that, we have the center O, which is meeting O dash at this point. So name it as O dash. So we named the top surface also. So once it has been done, please don't leave the naming. Don't do wrong naming also. Please read the locus properly. Sometimes the line of parallel what you project will be very near to each other. If you show some inclination, then you will go wrong in the deviations and you won't get the actual shape. How does it look? Okay, so after doing the naming, I have told you again the first step is outer boundary will be visible. So please join the outer boundary of it, right? So here you have still. So you will join A dash to B dash, okay, as A1 dash to B1 dash, B1 dash to A. Okay, this is little bit, oh, you are not able to see, just a second. Okay, so you will join A1 dash to B1 dash, B1 dash to B dash. So this is the outer boundary, B1 dash to B dash, B dash to C dash, C dash to D dash, D dash to E dash, D dash to E1, E1 dash, E1 dash to F1 dash, and F1 dash to back to A1 dash. So this is the outer boundary. So once you draw the outer boundary, next you have to consider which is hidden and which is visible. So when the observer views from here, so this entire surface will be visible. Okay, so observer is viewing from this direction. So this entire surface will be visible. So you will darken the other sides of this surface. Okay, so you will join E1 dash to D1 dash, D1 dash to C1 dash, C1 dash to A1 dash, B1 dash, B1 dash to A1 dash. So we got this. So after this, what is the next step? So the surface which is visible. So the through the corners, if you take any projection, so that will also be continuous line. So here we have two corners which are not being drawn. The other two corners are coming across the boundary. We have drawn the boundary line already. So the projection which is coming out from the corner of the surface, C1 dash to C dash, D1 dash to D dash will be visible. So you will please darken it because these are the outer rectangular surfaces which are bounding our hexagonal prism. So this will be visible at any cost. So please take the projections with continuous thick line C1 dash to C and D1 dash to D. So this is done. And then another thing what I have told you that any projection line it is coming out through inside the surface through which it has been visualized. So that will be always hidden. So here we have the corner F1. So you have F1 dash to F dash which is passing through inside the surface of the hexagonal prism. So this will be hidden. So you have to draw a hidden line here. Okay, so F 1 dash to F will be hidden. So any size which is passing through the hidden line also will be hidden. So you have F1 dash to E dash. This is one of the edge. So this will be hidden, and again F1 dash to A1 dash. So this also will be hidden. Along with that, we have one more side here, A1 dash to A dash, which is passing through inside the surface through which the observer is viewing, and hence A1 dash to A dash will also be hidden line. Okay, so you should be having a clarity to identify which are hidden and which are continuous line. Okay, so that we can cross check with our top view also. So here you see that you have these two edges as hidden. So F dash and F1 and A1, A1 and B1. So if you just cross check for your confirmation whether you have drawn properly or not. So the projection coming through these hidden line F1 should be hidden as per theoretical, but it is coming along the outside boundary, so it will be continuous. Apart from the outside boundary, you have one projection which is coming through inside, so this will be hidden. So if you go in this way also, the concept will be the right. And again this side A dash, A1 and B1, so the projection coming through this point should be hidden provided it is not on the outer boundary. So here it is on outer boundary, again it will be continuous. A1 dash and F1 dash is on outer boundary, A1 dash and B1 dash is also on the outer boundary. But along with that, you have one projection line which is coming inside the surface, which is from A1 dash to A dash, and hence we have shown this as a hidden line. So in this way you can cross check whether the hidden lines what you have drawn is right or wrong. So before leaving the problem, kindly you see that you have named the XY line, you have shown VP and HP, and you have to show the dimension even at least for a single side of the hexagonal prism when you draw the top view. So if you have forgotten to show the dimensions, kindly write the dimensions. Let the arrows be neatly and specifically drawn as per the standards which is taught to you all right from the beginning. Don't leave anything. Each and every naming will carry the marks. So this is how you have to solve the problem on hexagonal prism when it is resting on one of its corner, and it is obviously inclined to HP and VP, but inclination with VP appears to be inclined, and hence you haven't determined the apparent angle beta in this case. If there was a problem just omitting appears to be here, then we were supposed to determine the apparent angle in the third stage. Okay, so that I will just let you know. Okay, so for this problem, the first and the second stage will be the same. I won't be repeating the same thing. Okay, I have shared the videos also. I will be sharing the videos by the end of the day. Okay, so here you can see, so this was a problem what we have solved currently, where there is no apparent angle determination because the axis was appears to be inclined. So now we'll go for a second problem here, the fourth problem on hexagonal prism. So here what it states, it is almost similar. It is an hexagonal prism of side 25 mm and even the axis height is same 50 mm, which is resting on one of its corner. I told you how the position of the top view will be when it is resting on one of its corner. So similarly, you will draw the top view which provides the true shape. You do the naming, take the projection above, measure the axis height of 50 mm, right? Similarly, you take the projections from the other edges also, and you will do the naming as I told you in the previous problem. It is exactly similar, only the last stage is different. So you know when the observer views from down, which will be visible and which will not be visible. Accordingly, you will do the namings, right? So once this is done, what is our next step? You know that axis is inclined to 40 degrees. This is also same. As in the previous problem, the axis was inclined to 40 degree. Here also the axis is inclined to 40 degrees. So same procedure you will shift. The front view which was in vertical position with axis inclination, now it has been inclined to 40 degree to HP. So you will shift as I explained you for the last problem. So once you shift, you give the naming as it has been in the first stage. So after that, again the procedure is same. You will take the projections down and you will extend the projections right from our top view also, and the corner which is lying on XY line, the projection coming through that corner will be hidden in case of your top view, and the outer boundary will be visible, and the projections coming through the corners of the top surface will be continuous, so we'll show continuous line, and the projection coming through inside the top surface, because when the observer views from here, this top surface will be visible, and hence the projection coming through the top surface inside the top surface will be hidden. So we will put this hidden line from A to A1. Okay, so same thing until the second stage. What I have explained you from past 1 hour is the same. Until second stage it is the same. So please construct it accordingly. Now I am going to focus about our beta angle for hexagonal prism. So always be sure, read the question thoroughly whether it is appears to be or inclined. So in this problem, it is told the axis is inclined to HP and to VP at 30 degree. So there is no part of appears to be. Since there is direct inclination to VP at 30, we have to determine our apparent angle. So you know the procedure for determining the apparent angle for each problem, but still it's my duty to explain. So kindly listen. So you have to take normally the inclination with respect to VP, what is the angle? So you will take 30 degree to VP as per the given question. So you can take 30 degree in this way or this way based on the space availability what you have. Okay, so here I'm just taking 30° here. So once you take 30°, so what we have to do is, since the true length and the apparent length from the first to the second stage will not be equal, you will get the true length only in the first stage of the front view. Since the axis is inclined to some angle, the true length what you get in our top view will be lesser than it. So before starting the problem, it's better to measure and keep the true length from O to O1, how much it is, so that you can later cross check whether you have mapped an exact value or not. So first you take 30°. Once you take 30°, what you do is you will measure the true length. So the true length of the front view here is 50 mm. And also you have to see the space availability. Don't start very near to XY line. After you take the XY line, after you take the inclination of BP of about 30°, leave some point here and fix the reference point O. So once you fix the reference point O, please measure the true length value of 50 mm. So this true length value is exactly 51 mm. Keep one end of the compass over here and you just cut an arc for 50 mm. So you will get O and O1. So this is our 50 mm exactly. So where you cut an arc on 30° line, it will meet some at common point. So then you just draw a locus on it. So what you do, first you take 30°. So on 30° you will measure 50 mm. Right? Keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc. So where it meets, you name it as O1. So from O1, you kindly draw the locus line. So once you draw the locus line, you have to come to the second stage and measure the apparent length here. So which is from O to O1. So please measure the apparent length from the second stage and come back to the third stage. Keep one end of the compass over here and just cut an arc. So once you cut an arc, it will cut somewhere on the locus of O1 what you have drawn. So name that immediately as O1. So now you got the apparent length. So once you got the apparent length, kindly check the apparent length what you had in the second stage is equal to the apparent length what you have constructed now. Okay, so once you construct the apparent length, so what we have to do is we have to extend this apparent length. We have to extend this apparent length axis to towards the XY line. So once you extend it, it will get an inclination to our XY line with some angle, which is called as our beta angle. So please measure the angle beta, how much it is you're getting, and show the angle beta. And also please draw a box and show within it beta is equal to what angle you are getting. So now we have shifted the axis here to our apparent angle beta, which is our apparent length. So once this is been fixed, it's our duty to reconstruct the second stage top view with an apparent angle inclination. So now you have only O and O1. So along with O and O1, you have other two corners which is lying. So one is D and other one is A1. So please measure from O to D what is the distance and just make a reference point. So you got one corner already. And similarly from O1 to A1 what is the distance you measure and just make a reference point on this apparent length line what you have drawn. So you got A1 and you got D1. So remaining you have to identify. So this apparent angle anyhow you have extended to XY line, right? So on that extended line, you can directly measure O to A, what is the distance. So please measure O to A and just make a reference point from O to A on this beta angle. So you got this corner A also. Similarly, from the O1, you measure this D1, what is the distance? Because all these points are coming along our apparent length line only. So O1 to D1, you measure what is the distance and come back here and you just cut an arc. So you got the distance D1 also. So this thing is over. So after this, what you have to do is, similarly in the previous problem, how you constructed, like that only we have to reconstruct. Okay, so now here you have O and A. You need to identify this midpoint. So between O and A, you have a midpoint. So you using the compass, just measure the distance from O to this midpoint, how much it is. Come here and just make a reference point. At that reference point, just draw a perpendicular line, as I showed you in the previous problem also. So from this reference point, just draw a perpendicular line. So it will look as though you have a perpendicular line at this reference point. So once you draw this perpendicular line, kindly measure from this distance to F how much it is and cut an arc. And again from this distance to B how much it is and cut an arc. So you got the corners F and B. So once it is there, so you have to now get the other two corners. So again, this is over now, O to A. So O to D. In between O to D, you have one more midpoint through which you have the other two corners. So you need to identify this midpoint. So measure from O to this midpoint, what is the distance is. Come back here and keep one end of the compass here and just show a reference point. So after showing the reference point, just draw a perpendicular line from that reference point. Okay, you will just draw a perpendicular line. After drawing the perpendicular line, you please measure from the midpoint to E what is the distance. Keep one end of the compass here and just cut an arc. And again from the midpoint, you measure the other side of it, how much it is. From the midpoint to C, you measure it, keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc on the perpendicular line what you have constructed. So now you got the corners E as well as C. So D and A also you have named already. So you got the corners of for the top surface. So you join that using a thick line immediately because the top surface is continuous and visible in the second stage. Same thing we are replicating only for the inclined position. So you please darken it. Once you do the darkening, kindly extend the projection down from this side. From the side EF, take the extension of line below. From the side BC, you draw the projection line below. So these two sides should be parallel to our apparent length, which is from O1 to O. Okay, so once this is done, so please measure the distance from E to E1, how much it is. Keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc on the line what you have extended. Similarly, here also you have extended the line. So you measure from C to C1 what is the distance. I keep one end of the compass over here and just cut an arc. So once you cut the arc, you got the point E1 and C1. So name it accordingly, E1 and C1. So this A1 we have named already, right? All the naming along the apparent angle was named already. So these 2 points we have to get. One is F1 and B1. So this F1 and B1 is also lying on the same line on which we have marked E1 and C1. So you please measure from E1 to F1 what is the distance. Keep one end of the compass at E1 and cut an arc on the line what you have drawn already. So you get the point F1, name it. And similarly, you measure the distance from C1 to B1, what is it? Keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc on this point. This line you have extended already. So this you will get it as B1. So name it immediately. And this side is hidden in the second stage. So rewrite the same thing here for the third stage. So even these two sides will be hidden. And here A1 to A is hidden. So similarly, you will show an hidden line from A1 to A, what you have named already. So once this has been completed, just cross check the apparent length what you were getting in the second stage is same to that in case of third stage problem what you have constructed right now. So it is showing 38.3 here. Similarly, here also the distance between O1 to O should be 38.3, which will be less than our true length, which is 50 mm. So once this is done, what we have to do is we have to take the projections above from each corners. Right, so before taking the projection from the top view, always extend the projection from our front view. So from each and every point from the front view, take the projections. Draw it parallelly, let it not be inclined. So once you draw the projections from each point, now start taking the projections from the top view. So if it is E1, you just see where E1 dash is. So this is E1 and E1 dash is meeting here. So only extend the projection until E1 dash and name it as E1 dash. And then the locus of D1 is meeting D1 dash at this point. So name it as D1 dash. Don't extend the line above. The locus of C1 is meeting C1 dash at this point. So name it as C1 dash. The locus of B1 is meeting B1 dash at this point. Name it as B1 dash. The locus of A1 is meeting A1 dash at this point. Name it as A1 dash. Okay, so the locus of O1 is meeting O1 dash at this point, so name it as O1 dash. So we got the bottom surface. Once we got the bottom surface, now we have to give the naming for the top surface. So you see the locus of A is meeting A dash at this point, so this is our A dash. The locus of B is meeting B dash at this point, so this is our B dash. The locus of F is meeting F dash at this point, so this is our F dash. The locus of E is meeting E dash at this point, so this is our E dash. The locus of D is meeting D dash at this point, so this is our D dash. And the locus of C is meeting C dash at this point, so this is our C dash. So we got the naming of the bottom surface, sorry, the top surface also. So once we have got the top and the bottom surface, don't forget to show the naming for the center. So O1 is meeting O1 dash at this point, name it as O1 dash. O is meeting O is meeting O dash, so this is our O dash. So after naming, now you have to darken which are visible and which is hidden. So outer boundary, I told you it will be always visible. So please join the outer boundary. So F1 dash to A1 dash. Okay, so from A1 dash to B1 dash. So from B1 dash to B dash. So from B dash to C dash to D dash to D1 dash to E1 dash to F1 dash to A1 dash. So this is the outer boundary. So once you draw the outer boundary, then you have to think which are visible and which are hidden. So in this case, when the observer is viewing from here, the surface which is being here visible, the surface which is here will be visible. Okay, so you have to complete this bottom surface with an visible line. So these three corners we have joined already. So you will join E1 dash to D1 dash, D1 dash to C1 dash, C1 dash to B1 dash and B1 dash to A1 dash. Because observer is viewing from here, the surface will be completely visible. So once you draw the surface, then I told you the projection which is coming through the corner of the top surface also will be visible. So these are the corners 1, 2 and 3. So if this is a surface through which it has been visualized by the observer, so these corners will be visible. So you have to join an visible line. So this is drawn already. One more you have C1 dash to C. So you will draw it. The other one you have drawn already, D1 dash to D dash. Apart from that, we have the surface, we have the projection which is coming through inside the surface also. So you have here, this is E1 and this is E1. This is E1 dash and this is E1. So you have a projection. These two are very near and overlapping it, but you should be careful to show the hidden line as well as the continuous line. So the continuous line is for D1 dash to D dash. But along with that, we have one more side, E1 dash to E dash, which is passing through inside the surface. So this line should be hidden. So E1 dash to E1, E1 dash to E dash will be hidden line. So you can identify an hidden line drawn parallelly here. And similarly, you have one more projection which is coming through inside, A1 dash to A dash. So this you will show it as an hidden line. So one more thing. No, A1 dash and A dash is overlapping with the longer edge, so it will be an continuous line. The one more side which is not visible here is F1 dash to F dash, because this F1 dash to F dash is coming inside the surface. So this you will hidden, F1 dash to F dash you will make it hidden line, and after that from F from F dash to A dash also will be hidden because it is passing through the hidden line. The projection coming through hidden line will be always hidden. So F dash to A dash will be hidden and F dash to E dash also will be hidden. Right, after that you please show the axis line. So the axis line is now here overlapping with the longer edge, okay, and also the hidden line. So you can just show the naming O1 dash to O dash because it is passing through one hidden side and one visible side also. You won't be able to show the third line. At least you can show the naming of it, O1 dash and O dash. So this is how you have to solve the problem on hexagonal prism when it is resting on one of its corner and the axis appears to be inclined, then you will solve in this way without beta angle. And if you have a problem on hexagonal prism resting on its corner when the axis is directly inclined to VP, then you have to determine the beta angle. So this completes the problem on hexagonal prism. I have 15 minutes in hand. So I just want to tell you a simple problem on square pyramid. It won't take more than 10 to 15 minutes. So let me cover up a simple problem on square pyramid. Okay, so I have explained you how a pyramid will be, what are its classifications, right? So this is an square pyramid what I am showing. So a square pyramid will be having an base. It is named as a square pyramid because the base of the pyramid here is made by an square. Okay, and this base of the square will be bounded by triangular surfaces. So if it is a square, it will be bounded by 4 triangular surfaces, and all the triangular surface will meet at a common point, what we call it as an apex, right? So this will be bounded by 4 triangular surfaces which meets at a common point, what we call it as an apex. So these are the slant edges what we call, and these are the edges of the base. And here also in case of pyramid we'll be having the center axis, right? So from the bottom of the center to the top of the apex there will be an axis, as in case we had in our prisms. Even in the square pyramid or any other pyramid we will be having the axis line, and the concept for solving the problem will be the same. In the first stage we assume the axis is perpendicular, and in the second case we assume the axis is inclined to HP, and in the third case we take the axis inclination with respect to VP. So here in the third stage the VP could be inclined to either the side or to the axis. If it is inclined to the side, we won't determine the beta angle. If it is inclined to the axis, then we determine the apparent angle beta. Okay, so this is the just concept what I just wanted to tell about the square pyramid actually. Okay, so now I just want to present a simple problem. It won't take much time. Just a second. Okay, so this is a simple problem on the square pyramid. Right, so the construction purpose also will be more clear, will be easier than that of a prism for you all. So because you won't be having two surfaces, so it is a square pyramid, right, of side 35 mm. So whenever it is told square pyramid, you will be having the base of the square, and the side of the base of the square is given here as 35 mm, and it is told the axis length is 65 mm. So the axis length is nothing but the axis which is being drawn from the bottom of the base to that of the top. So this vertical height will be equal to 65 mm. Okay. and it is resting on one of its side on and it is resting, and the square pyramid, the given size pyramid, is resting on one of its edge of the base. So how it looks, so it is the square pyramid, so it will be resting on one of its edge. So you have all the four edges, you can keep any of the edge towards your right. So if this is our vertical and the horizontal plane, and this is our square pyramid, so I'm placing the square pyramid in such a way that it is resting on one of its edge. So you're keeping one edge towards your right, so in that case you'll be having the other edge which is coming exactly opposite to the edge which we are fixing. So when it is placed in this way, right, after placing, now then you will view how the top view and the front view looks like. So when you view from the top, what happens is you will be able to visualize the true shape of the base, and hence in the top view you will just see an square, right, and the center which shows you the O and O1. So you will be having a bottom surface and the center which will be visible in our top view. Similarly, you will view from here, right? So when you view from the front, you can just see an triangular surface. In case of prism, we used to see a rectangular surface because the prism is bounded by rectangular surfaces. Whereas in case of pyramids, the pyramids are bounded by triangular faces. So when you view from the front, you can just see an triangular surface. Along with that, the projection line of the axis will be visible. What we have to show as an front view. Okay. So as a result, the top view here in case of square pyramid will be just an square. It is resting on one of its edge, so you will draw an regular square. Everyone know how to construct a square. Just draw an horizontal side, measure 35 mm, take 90-degree above from each corners, okay, and then measure 35 mm and cut an arc, measure 35 mm and cut an arc, right? You got all the four corners. Kindly join and make it visible. And I told when it is being viewed from the top, even the apex is visible with respect to the center O and O1. So you please join the diagonals. Once you join the diagonals, you will show the center, right? So for the naming, in case of prism, we used to have the bottom surface and the top surface, and we used to name A, B, C, D, A1, B1, C1, D1. That is not there in case of pyramids, because pyramids will be having only one surface at the bottom, and the bottom surface is named as A, B, C, and D. So when it is viewed from the top, the bottom surface will be visible. So you will write it as A, B, C, and D. And you show the dimension as 35 mm. And also we have the center O and O1. So when you view from the top, the axis center at the top at the apex will be visible. So we'll write it as O, and O1 which is at the bottom will not be visible. So you will write O1 within the bracket. So this completes our top view, and it provides the true shape of it. So after that, as usual, you will take the projection above. So before taking the projection above, kindly see what is the axis length. So the axis length is of 65 mm. So from the center, just draw a thin projection line. So when you go above XY line, just change the pattern of line to the axis line. Okay, so just draw an axis line and fix it for a distance of 65 mm. You can use scale or compass, whatever. Measure 65 mm and name it as O dash. Okay, so this is our O. Okay, naming we will do it later. So just draw the axis for 65 mm. And then take the projections from this side and this side also. But we will restrict the projection only to the bottom. Why? Because at the top we don't have any surface, square surface. It is only the apex what you have. So the projections from the other edges will be restricted to the bottom surface only on XY line. So from there we will join directly to our apex. Here also you will join, because in the front view it looks only like an triangle and not a rectangular surface. So you will frame an triangular surface. After doing the triangular surface for a front view, show the dimension of the axis as 65 mm. So 165 mm is been shown. Don't forget to show the dimension of the square also as 35 mm. Do the naming VP, HP, XV, XY line at the initial stage only. Then the observer will view from the bottom. So when the observer view from here, B and C will be along the same line, but B will be visible and C won't be visible. So you will write B dash outside the bracket and C dash within the bracket. And here you have the two centers, one of the top and one of the bottom. Both will not be visible. So here you will write it when you view from here. So you will write it as O1 dash. Okay. So when you come here, you have the side A and D. Right. A will be visible and D won't be visible. So you will write A dash outside the bracket and D dash within the bracket. So then take the projection. The top apex will be visible, right? So you will just write it as O dash. Only O1 dash which is not visible, you will write it within the bracket. So this completes our stage 1 front view and top view. Once it is done, join it immediately with a dark line. Okay, so don't forget. So darken the front view as well as the top view immediately. So next, the axis is as usual. In the first stage, the axis will be assumed to be perpendicular, and in the second stage, the axis will be inclined to HP. So in this question, the inclination of HP is 45 degree. So you will take the 45-degree line and you show the axis line pattern. So once you show the axis line pattern, you measure the distance from O1 dash to A1 dash, how much it is, and just keep on moving on this axis line until that distance cuts on our XY line. Okay, so once that cuts on our XY line, you got these 2 points. So you name it as O1 dash, A1 dash and D1 dash. So this is over. So after this, you just extend the line above. So this line should be exactly perpendicular to our axis line. So after extending this line, you measure this distance O1 dash to B1 dash, what is it, and kindly cut an arc. So once you cut an arc on this perpendicular line of the base, so you will name it as B1 dash and C1 dash. So you now got the base tilted to 45-degree line. After that, you you have this axis line already. So you measure this 65 mm. What is it? So how do you measure 65 mm? You'll keep one end of the compass at B1 dash and C1 dash and cut an 65 mm here. And again keep one end of the compass here, measure 65 mm and cut an arc. Both will meet at a common point. So then join B1 dash C1 dash to O dash, A1 dash D1 dash to O dash. So now we got the top front view of which was vertical in position, inclined to 45 degree. So once this is done, take the projections down. After taking the projection down, kindly extend the projections from C and D, from the center, from B and A also, and also from the center. So we have taken the projections. So after taking the projections, you have to read the locus. So here you have the locus of A, which is meeting A1 dash at this point. So this is our A. So we have locus of B, which is meeting B dash at this point. So this is our B. So we have locus of C, which is meeting C dash at this point. So this is our C. And we have locus of D, which is meeting D dash at this point. So this is our D. Along with that, name the axis center line. So this is the locus of O1. It is meeting O1 dash at this point. So name it as O1. And you have the locus of O, which is meeting O dash at this point. So name it as O. And always pyramid will be having only one surface. In case of a prism, we used to have the bottom surface and the top surface. So now that will be not there. Only one bottom surface, and all will be bounded by triangular surface, and it will be connected at the top by an apex, right? So this is our apex. So now as I told, the concept remains the same. The outer boundary of the prism will be, the pyramid will be visible. So please darken the outer boundary. So outer boundary is B to A to O to D, D to C and C to B. So this is our outer boundary which is visible. So we darkened it. Okay, so after that, so C and O is also coming along the outer boundary. It is bounded. So when it has been inclined in this position, so you'll be able to see three surfaces. One, two, three. Okay, so that surfaces you should be able to show it. So you will join C2O and you will join B2O, and this is joined already. A2O and D2O is joined. Only one side of the base will not be visible when it is inclined in this position. Only this side will not be visible. The other sides of the base will be visible. So that is what been shown here as hidden. And the crude method is the corner which is lying on XY line, the projection coming through that corner will be hidden. And the projection coming through this corner is passing through the base H, D and A. So this we will make it as hidden. So along with that, you will show the axis line. Axis line is not visible here clearly. You will show in this way. The axis pattern, same thing. You will draw the axis line between O1 to O. So this is done. So what is the third part? It is told the edge in which the square pyramid was resting in HP. The same edge is inclined to VP also. So this was the edge which was resting on HP. We always keep the edge resting on HP towards our right. So the edge which was resting on HP is now inclined to VP at 30°. So for the third stage, we will take 30° line. If you don't have enough space, you can just draw a line parallel to our XY line below and take 30°. So after taking 30°, so now we have to shift the side which was resting on HP to 30° line. So whenever the side is been inclined to VP, the true shape of the side will be always the same in the first stage and the second stage. So this side of 35 mm will be similar to the side of 35 mm here, and hence no need to determine the apparent angle. So right away we will fix this side DA on 30° line, right? So leave some point and fix the point D. Once you fix the point D, you measure the distance D to A, how much it is, and keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc. So you got the distance D to A. So this is hidden, make this as hidden. So once you have shifted one of the side on 30° line, you have to construct the remaining part of the base and the apex part also. For that it is easier. From this point you just draw a perpendicular line. From D you draw a perpendicular line. From A you draw a perpendicular line, because you have to construct a square base. So after drawing the perpendicular line, you measure the distance D to C, how much it is, and keep one end of the compass here and cut an arc. Similarly, from A to B, what is the distance you measure? Keep one end of the compass and you cut an arc. So you got A, D, C and B. So you join it. So other sides are visible, you can darken it. After that, so we have this side. So now you have to identify the center. So from the midpoint of this side, you measure the distance from this midpoint to O1. What is the distance? Okay, so same distance. First you identify the midpoint. So here you come and identify the midpoint, make a reference point. So from the midpoint you measure O1, what is the distance. Come back over here. Okay, so keep one end of the compass here and just make a reference point. So now you have two reference points. This is one reference point and this is second reference point. Through these two reference points, just draw an perpendicular line to this side. So once you got the perpendicular line, you will just measure the distance from O1 to O, what it is. Once you measure this distance, you keep one end of the compass here and just cut an arc. So where it meets, you name it as O. So now you got the axis distance. So from the apex to each corners, you kindly join O to A, O to B, O to C and O to D. Right, so you now got the entire square pyramid whose side is now inclined to 30° to VP. So after this, the last step is easier. You will take the projection from C, projection from D, A, B, O, and also extend the projections from the front view. After taking the projections, you will read the locus. So this is the locus of A, which is meeting A dash at this point. So this is our A dash. Locus of B is meeting B dash at this point. This is our B dash. Locus of D is meeting D dash at this point. This is our D dash. Locus of C is meeting C dash at this point. This is our C dash. So you will join A dash to B dash, B dash to C dash to D dash. So this will be our square base. Okay. So later, the projection of O is meeting O1 dash over here. Right. So join O1 dash also. So then we gave the first, always we do the naming. So we did the naming for the bottom surface. We took the naming for the apex and also name O1 dash is meeting O1. O1 is meeting O1 dash. So this is our O1 dash. So after naming, here also the outer surface will be, outer boundary will be visible. So darken the outer boundary. So outer boundary here is A dash to O dash to C dash to D dash and D dash to A dash. So this is our outer boundary what we drew it. So after this, when the observer views from here, the base surface will be visible. So out of that, we have joined the two surfaces. The other two surfaces have to be joined. So you will join with a dark pencil C dash to B dash and B dash to A dash. Right? So after that, so this is the edge which is being inclined on 30°. So this edge is hidden. So the projection coming out through this edge will be hidden over here, right, as per the concept. And this also maps along with the projection, right? This is a hidden line. This side is hidden. So the projection coming through that line will be hidden. So D1 and O dash will be hidden line. Or else in the other way, so this is the surface which has been visible. Now the projection coming through the surface from the corner will be visible. So on that aspect, C1 dash and O1 dash is visible, B1 dash and O1 dash is visible, A1 dash and O dash is visible. But you have one projection which is coming through inside the surface, D1 dash to O dash. So that will be hidden. So in any way, either you take the concept from the top view and show the hidden, that is also right. Or if you see from here, the which is visible, you will make it dark. The projection coming through the corner of the surface will be hidden, will be visible, and the projection which is coming through inside the top surface, inside the surface will be hidden. So in any way you can show the hidden lines and you can cross check whether what you have done is right or wrong. So this is how we have to construct a simple square pyramid where the given edge is resting on HP and the same edge is inclined to VP also. Whenever it is a problem on side inclination, the true length remains the same and the first and the second stage, and hence we won't determine any apparent angle. So remaining thing we will do it in the next class. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can kindly let me know. I will okay, so I have posted the problems on square prism. A square prism was done. The hexagonal and pentagonal prism, what we have done very long back, I have posted the questions what you have to share in the Google Classroom. So kindly complete at the earliest and upload it. Okay, so a few problems, the demo version, how to solve an pentagonal problem for apparent angle, how to solve an hexagonal problem for apparent angle. I have taken the video recording. By today I will be uploading, so you can just have a reference how to construct a pentagonal problem, how to construct an hexagonal problem. The complicated version is a beta angle. So I've shown the entire demonstration for calculating the beta angle problem. Okay, similarly you can solve the problems for the side inclinations as well. So please solve the problem and upload it in the Google Classroom as per the due date mentioned in the Google Classroom. Okay. If any clarity you need, you kindly let me know. And tomorrow we'll be having the internals from 3 to 4:30 as per the pattern given. Prepare well, and the questions will be coming from the question bank which has been given to you all already, where the syllabus will be on lines and planes. Okay. So please solve the problems in the question bank which is given. Kindly refer to the links of the videos what I have shared and the primer. All the materials are with you and you have solved the problems also. You please refer and do the test tomorrow well. Okay. If anyone have not written the name and USN number in the chat room, kindly add it on. Okay. Okay, then fine. Thank you. So all the best for tomorrow's test. So we'll meet on 3 o'clock tomorrow for the test. Any clarity, you can mail your message or call. Okay.